Hello everybody, my name is Ritika, as all my students know. So today's video is on the topic jurisprudence, its meaning and the definition by various eminent jurists. Okay, so the whole sole purpose of making this video for you is to simplify the subject a little and help you in your semester exams. If you want videos on any of the subjects or a particular topic, you can let me know. Drop a comment in the comment section and I'll definitely make a video for you people. Hope this video serves the purpose. Okay, now moving ahead, I'll be quickly explaining you the meaning as well as the various definitions, and we'll try and break the subject and make it easy for you. When we talk about the word jurisprudence, it is derived from a Latin word, and the word is jurisprudentia. Now, when you break it, it is juris, and juris means law, and prudence means skill or knowledge. Jurisprudentia simply means knowledge of law, or you can also say skill in law. Thus, jurisprudence simply says that it is knowledge of law and its application. The history of this concept has revealed time and again that jurisprudence has assumed different meanings at different times. So with the changing meaning, it also becomes difficult to attempt a singular definition of the term. Now, it also has a long history of evolution, beginning from the classical Greek period to the 21st century modern jurisprudence, with a lot of changes in its nature in various stages of its evolution. We all know that law is a dynamic concept and it changes with evolution of society under the different socio-economic and political conditions. The rapid changes in the modern times have given rise to new problems and issues, which are to be tackled by law. Now, while doing so, the modern jurisprudence has taken into consideration the changing patterns of the society and which immensely widens its scope as a science of law also. Okay. Etymologically का मतलब क्या होता है? It means how a word has evolved and changed through history. So, etymologically, jurisprudence basically एक science है that imparts to us knowledge about law. The law, of course, is a term of wide connotations. There's no doubt about it. We use the term law in its abstract sense, that is to say, not in the sense of some concrete statute, but in the sense of principles underlining law. For instance, example की बात करते हैं. There are various branches of law. We all have heard of contracts, torts, crime, property, trusts, companies, insolvency, right? So, jurisprudence is simply studying the basic principles of these branches and it is not going into the detailed rules of these branches. अगर हम थोड़ा सा पीछे जाएं कि jurisprudence, especially Indian jurisprudence, हम कहाँ से derive कर रहे हैं, so we have to understand that the Indian jurisprudence owes its origin to the ancient concept of dharma, which was considered to be the best way to discipline one's mind. However, with the march of time and the progress as the Indian society made, this concept has changed radically. Now, in today's time, India is, sovereign, socialist, secular, and a democratic republic. We are a welfare state. So, the new Indian jurisprudence definitely requires to have a developed, approach and to ensure law becomes an instrument of various facets of the Indian life. It has to play the functional role of harmonizing, the conflicting interest of individuals in the society and the freedom of individuals. So basically, it has to somewhere strike a balance between individual interests and societal interest. The study of jurisprudence as a separate branch, started with Romans. So if you want to give credit of recognizing jurisprudence as an independent branch of legal science, it definitely goes to the Roman legal philosophers who eventually have paved way to development of the subject in its present form. जब हम जूरिस्प्रूडेंस की बात करते हैं तो जूरिस्प्रूडेंस का मीनिंग काफी चेंज होता रहा है और इस वेरिएशन का सिंपल रीजन है अलग अलग मेथड्स जो यूज करे गए हैं इंक्वायरी के लिए, और या फिर आप कह सकते हो स्टडी करने के लिए इस सब्जेक्ट को। अब ये जो डेफिनेशंस हैं हम एक एक करके पढ़ने वाले। सबसे पहले जूरिस्ट है अल्पाइन। ही इज अ रोमन जूरिस्ट, ओके, एंड ही हैज डिफाइंड jurisprudence as the observation of things human and divine, the knowledge of just and unjust. As you can see, the definition is a little broad, okay, and it is said that it is more or less the same as the term dharma under the Hindu jurisprudence. So, this definition highlights that jurisprudence includes, or you can say encompasses, not only the study of legal rules, but also their ethical and philosophical underpinnings. So it suggests that understanding law will require both human-made rules and broader concepts of justice and morality, including those that are derived from the divine or natural law. When we talk about Gray, he is also a renowned jurist. He has defined jurisprudence as the science of law, the statement and systematic arrangement of the rules followed by the courts and the principles involved in those rules. Okay, so basically, he's saying that jurisprudence deals with that kind of law which consists of rules that are enforced by the courts while administering justice. So, in other words, you can say that the laws of the jurist deal with man and they seek to regulate the external human conduct in the society. So, it does not concern itself with the inner beliefs of the man imbibed in religious laws, which derive their authority from superhuman resources, which we call as God. So the sanction for their enforcement is spiritual reward or curse according to man's deeds. When we talk about Salmon, he has defined jurisprudence as the science of the first principles of civil law. Okay, so in this entire definition, the word civil law is very, very important. Always remember, Salmon's definition includes the word civil law. So he says that jurisprudence is the science of the first principles of civil law. Now his definition is supported by various jurists, but he has supported Holland and Austin in holding that jurisprudence is a science, okay, that is systematic study of the basic principles of individual specific legal system. Okay, तो यहाँ पे सामन क्या कह रहे हैं? Jurisprudence is a science that is systematic study of basic principles of an individual specific legal system. Okay. तो वो जनरल की नहीं स्पेसिफिक की बात कर रहे हैं. He classified jurisprudence into the generic sense, which means the entire body of a legal doctrine, and specific sense. Specific sense means only a particular branch of jurisprudence. So according to him, specific sense alone is the proper jurisprudence. तो अगर आप specific sense में बात कर रहे हो, then that is right, because it deals with general principles of a particular legal system. So this is his approach towards jurisprudence. Now, Dr. Allen, who is also a jurist, he has objected to his definition. Okay. He says that he has limited the scope of jurisprudence to a particular legal system and it is too narrow of. तो Dr. Allen कह रहे हैं कि सामन की जो डेफिनेशन है जहां वो लिमिट कर रहे हैं jurisprudence का स्कोप एक पर्टिकुलर लीगल सिस्टम में, तो वो उसे नैरो कर रहे हैं. तो सामन, so you can say Salmon's view of an individual specific legal system is not liked by Dr. Allen and he is objecting to same and he's saying that it is too narrow a view. Okay. जो भी मैंने स्लाइड्स में लिखा है is very important and you can also use that as notes whenever you put a short note. Now, when I talk about John Austin, very, very important. Two very important jurists, always remember, Salmon and Austin, both have given a wonderful interpretation when it comes to jurisprudence. Austin calls jurisprudence as the philosophy of positive law. Salmon के केस में आप याद रखेंगे, he talks about the principles of civil law. And Austin says that jurisprudence is the philosophy of positive law. So ऐसा माना जाता है that he's the first jurist, to make jurisprudence as a science. By the term positive law, he meant just positive law. So that simply means the law laid down by a political superior for commanding obedience from his subjects. So what he's saying is that the law has been laid down by a political superior here. He preferred to divide jurisprudence into general jurisprudence and particular jurisprudence. Now, his theory of dividing into general jurisprudence and particular jurisprudence. Okay, so before talking about this, let me explain what is general and particular. General, he meant that the science that is concerned with the exposition of the principles of nations which are common to all the systems of law. Whereas a particular jurisprudence will consist of science of any such system of a positive law as now obtains or once actually obtained in specific determined nation. So he has clarified that the particular jurisprudence is concerned with specific state, or you can say national law or a particular area of such state law. जैसे आप कह सकते हैं study of Indian legal system itself or the proper law of India is the subject matter of a particular jurisprudence. Okay. Now, his definition is criticized by a few jurists. First in line is Professor Holland. He argues that, it is vague to think of general jurisprudence. According to him, science is science, and it cannot be classified as general and particular. So Holland said, आप इस तरीके की classification नहीं कर सकते jurisprudence की कि ये general भी हो सकता है, specific भी. He says science is science and it cannot be classified like that. When I talk about the next, jurist, Buckland, he observed that even those who profess this view, including Austin himself, did not adhere to this practice. So he's putting a totally different perspective. He's saying that people who have professed this view of dividing general and particular jurisprudence, including Austin himself, have not adhered to this practice. Next is Dias and Hughes. They have characterized his definition of general jurisprudence full of ambiguities. Matlab, they are not, they are thinking it to be full of, little faults, as it has lacked the maturity that is required in a prevalent legal system, right? Okay, so our next jurist is HLA Hart. Okay, Hart is one of the most important jurist. इनका अपना एक contribution है. अब यहाँ पे इनकी डेफिनेशन कवर करने से पहले एक बार ऑस्टिन को रेफर करते हैं. ऑस्टिन के लिए कमांड, सैंक्शन और सॉवरन बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट 3 एसेंशियल्स थे जो नेचर के कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट्स थे और जो साइंस फॉर्म करते थे. They formed the science of jurisprudence for him. But here, HLA Hart, he is of a totally different view. Okay. He has believed that the union of primary and secondary rules, मतलब जब ये दोनों unite करते हैं, primary और secondary rules, they explain the nature of law. और यही provide करते हैं the real key to the science of jurisprudence. तो Hart के लिए primary और secondary rules का union is everything. अब प्राइमरी रूल्स के लिए वो ये कह रहे हैं, प्राइमरी रूल्स वो होते हैं जो ड्यूटी इम्पोज करते हैं, वाइल सेकेंडरी रूल्स क्या है, जो पावर प्रोवाइड करते हैं. और पावर प्रोवाइड करने से वो क्या करते हैं, वो आपको बेसिकली ड्यूटी क्रिएशन में हेल्प करते हैं ताकि जो भी प्राइमरी रूल्स में डिफेक्ट्स है वो सारे रिमूव हो जाए. फर्दर हार्ट ने क्या बोला है, ही हैज ओपाइंड दैट बोथ दीज काइंड्स ऑफ रूल, जो चाहे प्राइमरी हो चाहे सेकेंडरी हो, दोनों में एक मिनिमम एलिमेंट ऑफ नेचुरल लॉ प्रेजेंट है. दैट इज लॉ एंड मॉरल्स विच एवरी लीगल सिस्टम मस्ट कंटेन. ओके, तो हार्ट के लिए लॉ और मॉरल्स का कॉम्बिनेशन जो है वो एक लीगल सिस्टम में एसेंशियल है. Thus, Hart viewed jurisprudence as science of law in a broader perspective. So Hart has correlated law and morality, whereas Austin has clearly failed to do so. So this is the difference between them. For him, primary and secondary rules union is important. For him, there's a correlation between law and morality, whereas for Austin, he's concerned with command, he's concerned with sovereign, he's concerned with sanction, right? Okay. Next, we talk about Roscoe Pound. Okay. Now, according to Pound, jurisprudence is the science of law. अब आप देख रहे हो कि science of law काफी बार used है, तो that means we have to find out something different in every definition. So let us continue and find out what is different. The science of law is using the term law in the juridical sense and denotes the body of principles recognized or enforced by the public and regular tribunals in the administration of justice. Okay, so basically, according to Pound, jurisprudence क्या है? It is the science of law, and by this he is denoting that it is a body of principles. Okay, ये एक body of principles है जो recognize की जाती है और enforce की जाती है by public और किसके द्वारा? रेगुलर ट्राइब्यूनल्स इन द एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन ऑफ जस्टिस. इन्होंने एक और बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बात कही है कि एक इनएविटेबल रिलेशनशिप एग्जिस्ट करता है जूरिस्प्रूडेंस और अदर सोशल साइंसेस में. हियर यू हैव टू सी द डिफरेंस. ही इज कनेक्टिंग जूरिस्प्रूडेंस विद अदर सोशल साइंसेस. ही बेसिकली इज ऑफ द व्यू दैट चाहे इकोनॉमिक्स हो, चाहे पॉलिटिक्स हो, चाहे जूरिस्प्रूडेंस हो, सोशियोलॉजी हो, ये चाहे अलग अलग है अपने कोर में, but somewhere they shade out into each other. Pound has suggested a separate branch also of sociological jurisprudence. Okay, and by that he's saying that he's concerned with the influence of law on society at large. So basically he is connecting jurisprudence with other social sciences. Okay, he is also firmly believing that behind every issue there's something social. तो वो हर चीज के साथ social aspect connect कर रहे हैं. इसीलिए वो कहते हैं कि जो study of jurisprudence है वो emphasize करती है relationship between law and society. Next jurist is Holland. Okay, so हॉलैंड जूरिस्ट का कंप्लीट नेम है सर थॉमस अर्स्किन हॉलैंड. उन्होंने जूरिस्प्रूडेंस को डिफाइन करा है एज द फॉर्मल साइंस ऑफ पॉजिटिव लॉ. ठीक है, तो अगर आपको याद रखना है कि हॉलैंड ने एग्जैक्टली क्या बोला है, ऑलवेज रिमेंबर फॉर्मल साइंस. ओके, पॉजिटिव लॉ की फॉर्मल साइंस. नाउ ही हैज डिफाइंड पॉजिटिव लॉ एज general rule of external human action. So he's talking about general rules of human action that is enforced by कौन सी enforcing authority है? Sovereign political authority. Right? So he called jurisprudence as formal science. अभी उसके लिए reason दे रहे कि क्यों उन्होंने इसे formal science बोला है, क्योंकि it deals not just with concrete details but only with fundamental principles underlying them. So he is saying that formal principle या formal science की जब हम बात करते हैं, that simply means we are talking about fundamental principles. We are not going into the details of a particular statute. So he has also concluded that jurisprudence is a science जो formal है या analytical है, लेकिन वो material नहीं है. Okay? So it's a science of actual or positive law. ये हमेशा हमें याद रखना है कि Holland has talked about positive law repeatedly and formal science, and therefore he's saying that it would be incorrect to divide jurisprudence into general and particular or philosophical and historical. So he is against this division and he says, in other words, it is not divisible. Talking about the last jurist, that is Dr. Allen, he is a noted English jurist, okay? और Dr. Allen ने jurisprudence को define करा है as scientific synthesis, okay? So you have to remember this word scientific synthesis. आप note करोगे कि lot many definitions are quite confusing and similar, but these keywords are what is actually creating a difference between them. So scientific synthesis, whenever you hear this word, it is Dr. Allen, okay? So when we talk about the definition, he's saying that he has defined jurisprudence as the scientific synthesis of the essential principles of law. Now, if you see this definition, आपको लगेगा कि this is too abstract if you see it. But it is definitely taking note of the wide scope of law. ये recognize कर रहा है इस बात को कि law का scope बहुत ही wide है और उसके बहुत सारे facets हैं. So he is saying that jurisprudence is nothing but a scientific synthesis of the essential principles of law. Right? So these were some of the jurists and their contribution in terms of the definition of jurisprudence. I hope आपको ये सारी definition समझ आए. Another thing, if any of the students want interpretation in Hindi या आपको लगता है कि you want more simplified explanations, do let me know. I can make more videos for you. I'll be making more videos in coming future, and you can also comment and tell me what all content you would like to watch. Thank you everyone for your time. I hope you've understood the concept. Thank you.